Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WGLEU Season 2 for 2015 and 2016. The third day of our Super Week is already underway. We're getting towards the pointy end of things now. The next match, of course, DiNG versus Knackebrod.
Exactly, and your brilliant pronunciation gets better.
Let's go, boys.
Knackebrod. But I mean, I think it should be a good game. I mean, of course, DiNG coming off a win, Knackebrod coming off a good win as well against Penta. So two winners so far, and I mean, to be honest, I was really impressed with KB. DiNG's impressed that they've actually managed to see so far that they managed to fix some of those inconsistency issues they had in their gameplay from Season 1. Yeah,
interesting what we saw from DiNG, I think, though, even earlier this week. Wasn't probably the most convincing game we've seen from them. You talked about the consistency issues for them as well. That's definitely something for them that kind of crept up on us a little bit watching their games as well. We're saying they're looking really good right now. These guys are very clever. Shock issues are quite an effective tactician as well, quite clever. But unfortunately, it was the execution that sort of fell over a little bit for these guys as well. And that's what we really need to see from DiNG as well. They've spent one season in the Gold Series and they had some good successes, some really good games, and then some not so good ones as well. If you do remember, they went very, very close to Tornado Rocks. Tiebreaker. I think they lost that one. And they beat Virtus Pro. So these guys are like the David and Goliath guys. They're killing giants, but then when it comes around to other teams that are sort of at the same level as them, they're dropping games.
They lost to ASAP 5-0. I think No Mercy 5-0. So I mean, you said it perfectly. They were great against the harder teams, which I think they probably train against quite a lot, or that kind of level, but against the other teams they seem to get trounced pretty easily. Yeah,
so we are definitely looking and paying attention to see now if that's going to be a consistent theme for them even through Season 2. I mean, going up against KB here as well, new team in towards the league, obviously qualifying through our relegations. They played quite well, of course, led by Crux, obviously ex-Kazna crew player, so he's definitely been around the scene for quite some time now as well. And we're liking what we're seeing from them so far. It was a very good performance for them in our first match day.
Yeah, it was very impressive. They look great on the city maps, and we haven't seen them on Steps, our first map here, so that's going to be interesting. We saw DiNG win twice against Rusty Roster. And to me, I think it's a whole different kind of kettle of fish. KB very good on Ghost Town, as I said, against Penta. They look strong. They look like they wanted to go forwards. I'm looking to see what they can provide on a map which is quite dynamic, can be quite fast. It's all about those executions, how they go into the attack, and how the artillery players are stepping up to the mark.
Absolutely, of course. And it does look like our first map for this one is going to be Steps. That's where things are going to start there. So, and everyone in chat is saying we can't wait to see if they're going to nail the pronunciation of our name.
No.
Thing is, as well, rolling your tongue is not a feature of the English language at all. They don't do it. So I can't do it, and when Oliver's supposed to do it, he just goes blur.
Exactly.
That's why I have such a hard time of pronouncing some English words, because I can do that R sound, and then it sounds instantly German, like heavily German, when I continue speaking English.
Yeah, there's a combination of.
And when we mix in Turkish, no.
Because you said to me, you almost had to say it angrily as well.
Yes.
Blurred, but like with the
Bröd. Because if you tell non-native speakers to speak angry, they shorten the vowels a lot more than usual.
There you go.
Oh, really?
So that's why it's not Knackebrod, it's Knackebrod.
Well, there you have it. Some linguistics for you guys out there as well. So we'll be working on that one as well. I can't roll my tongue to save my life, so you have to.
It's not really a skill. I think you're going to be missing a lot to your life, mate.
No, I mean I'm trying to learn German.
Maybe learn to play the fiddle or something. You've got to do some sort of bet there, but rolling the tongue, I don't think it's going to be an issue, to be honest.
Is that right?
I think they'll understand you.
Well, we'll see. I'll try anyway. Of course, Oliver's German is reasonably good. Mine is still improving. I'm still getting there. So hopefully we get a little bit better with our pronunciation as time goes on.
Just need to learn some of those Cologne songs, mate. That's what we need to do.
Kolsch dialect is even worse than German. It's nothing like High German.
You have to be drunk for that one.
Yeah, otherwise there's just no hope for you. Anyway.
What's the Jungs? So hard to say.
Well, they just change all the words. Like, Kolsch dialect looks nothing like High German when you read it. It makes no sense. Anyway, we're going to jump into this one, ladies and gentlemen. The first map, of course, is going to be Steps. And we can have a little bit of a flavour for you guys now as well and see exactly what it looks like. It's just like this, bit of an open landscape as well, a bit of a valley over towards the eastern side, and the train line in the northern side as well gives a little bit of protection from teams who are going to be heading up there as well. Can use that for just that, to hull over and get some damage done. Now it's DiNG going to be attacking on the red, KV defending in blue. Let's see what these teams have got for us.
So Meritorious played a pretty good artillery game in his first matchup. Let's see if he does a similar performance here. Apart from that, STB1's the highest damage dealers of any medium, basically highest damage dealer. in the game, apart from the 263. 140s, IS7s, AMX 1390 for Knackebrod. And we have to see if they can perform in that, because, of course, having the 2 IS7s there, kind of taking the role of the T32 slightly. But KB pushing down south pretty heavily with the faster tanks.
Yeah, it does look like they're not wasting too much time. There's also some shots are coming on the move out from them now as Hellfish, Pad and Bratty all moving straight down towards that back corner here as well. They're actually avoiding a lot of damage potentially coming in towards them. It's Diplomat as well. Knows he needs to move very, very quickly. These KB tanks are going to be catching up at him very, very quickly if he's not careful. Pad, I think he's almost tracked there in that position. Yep, you can see that. He's got that one fixed there as well. Just waited that one out, and they're going to continue to push forward here. Interesting defensive strategy from this team here as well.
International actually getting taken down. He actually got spotted in the middle. A lot of damage going towards him, but Ruzek does take down the IS-7. That's a disastrous blow.
Yeah, absolutely. Almighty R2 already down there, so very, very important first pick off there for DiNG as they can continue to push forward here. Hulknik takes 2 shots as he does leave the cover of those rocks. Failware is low though. He knows he needs to pick him up there, but Diplomat as well has 3 tanks looking straight at him. This could be very, very nasty for the man now as Rulzik gets the finish. I really shouldn't assume that he gets the finish there. He bounces that one off there, doesn't make the shot happen. He'll get that one eventually here. Close though, very, very, very close here. Back and forth, Crux on towards Hulknik. Rulzik takes down Failware. It's a 5v5. It's still at least those tanks are even in numbers. But International again on towards Hellfish. He's been definitely making his impact in this game. Crux is happy to fight against Rulzik here as well. Everyone is split. Looks like Knackebrod as well, forced back as well, got a 30-90 towards the north. Looks like they're running out of puff a bit.
The problem is Paddy and the other tank that was there is always going to die because Shockish was on the hill. So those two are basically cancelled out. Meritorious also helped along with some good damage, but Shockish will be able to take down Paddy, leaving Crux and Tarantula left.
Interesting stuff there. I'd love to know exactly how much Shockish has been able to do from that position up on the hill there, as Tarantula is the last man standing in that 1390. And he might just, go straight in towards this one and let the game finish. He knows that there's not really much he can do there as well. He's going to meet his maker. Of course, with Meritorious still firing there with M53, M55. And that is it. DiNG starting things off quite well. Quite convincingly there as well, I'd like to think. A very strange defensive strategy, though, from Knackebrod there as well. The way they're pushing down the valley, trying to get into these fights as well. I mean, with the position of Shockish there as well. I mean, I have to assume he got top damage there as well, being in that position.
Yeah, he did. He did 3,000 damage there. I think as soon as KB had decided to push down south like that and be aggressive in that situation with Shockish in that position, I think there's very little chance they could have won that, because eventually, it doesn't matter how much damage KB's doing against the tanks that are just over that crest, they will go down. KB's tanks will fall because Shockish can just peek, shoot, and with that 430 Mark II, it's got such a good rate of fire. It does basically the same damage as a tier 10. You're eventually going to fall. So it doesn't matter how well KB played, they will eventually lose that battle. And I think they just walked into that trap. And, it was great setup at the beginning, very passive setup at the beginning from DiNG to play this tactic.
So you can see there, DiNG are mostly positioned as a cluster, close together, with Meritorious as well, taking shots from the corner here as well. And maybe, Meritorious, 1,400 damage for him, so not terrible. Maybe, Knackebrod trying to, I guess, cancel him out a little bit by being on the move and trying to be really mobile, working through the valley here. But they were caught. They hit a roadblock here as well with Shockish back in the corner. They really couldn't get past that. Maybe they would have liked to sweep across from east to west as well. But with Shockish there, with Meritorious taking shots as well, it was never really going to be an easy push for them. And it definitely didn't work out for them. So, normally, last season, we'd be saying, okay, how are they going to do this better? But now they're straight onto the attacking side here, so they don't have a chance to really make amends. Exactly. Every round means that much more, so much more important. DiNG have a lot to prove as well, as a team that was very, very shaky. We talk about it a lot. They were quite shaky last season. We were fairly clear and fairly harsh about that a little bit towards them here. I don't know. I have to wonder what the play is going to be from them now as well. They're defending. We've seen a very set-in-stone, standardised way of playing this map from a lot of teams, especially defensive sides, using that valley. Knackebrod going for something a little bit different here, going for a little bit of an aggressive one here. But what do you expect from DiNG, really? Well,
DiNG's Tarantula has picked up the artillery. It's going to be interesting what he does. He's got the Lorraine 15551. Apart from that, just pretty standard. Double IS-7, 140s, pretty much the same kind of, triple IS-7 actually. Pretty much the same kind of lineup we saw KB use in that previous round. Obviously, KB's IS-7 falling right at the beginning. Artur died straight away. Was probably one of the biggest issues KB had. If they had him alive, it could have been a different kind of story. But for DiNG, STB1s, Batchats, M53, M55 from Mary at the same time. So, I think it's going to be more of a tactical game. Both lineups are pretty standard, I think. Pretty good, pretty strong, and we'll have to see how they work out.
A good mix, of course, of those auto-loaded Batchats in there with those objects, fast-moving medium tanks here. So, do have to wonder as well, Knackebrod, if their performance in that first match day was just some teams sort of burst on towards the scene, and then they start to sort of get worn away as time goes on. I almost pull up Synergy as an example of this as well, who started the season really nicely last season with some really good results, and then just started to slide a bit.
Same
as
as
well.
DiNG. DiNG started well in their season, and they started to peter down a little bit. I mean, this is a common thing for new teams. I mean, you can go into a season training a lot and playing, and then you start to actually play through the match days. It gets harder and harder as you go in towards the winter or the summer, and it starts to take a toll on you. And then mid-season, you might lose a game or 2 games, and then it starts to affect your morale. People start arguing. Whereas a team like Wombats, which has been together for a long time, they've all been through these issues before. They can fight through them, they can deal with them, and they can move on from it. And new teams can't.
That's right. Well, at least they haven't had the chance to do it.
Exactly. But the thing is, for me, right? I mean, I'm pretty impressed that DiNG has pretty much got the same lineup they had last season.
Yeah.
I expect, with such a disappointing season for them, to see a lot of changes, but I mean, Rulzek is the only guy you really see is in that main primary setup for them often. Yeah,
the only new player being thrown in the mix there as well. So you've got to hand it to a team who will persist with the players that they have and try and just make it work here. So, I mean, that's going to be a factor here, I think, as well, getting familiar with one another as well. And just taking time to build up their chemistry. It takes more than one season, no doubt about it. So Shockish again, got to be boosted up to a hill, this time over towards the north side of the map. And oh my lord, a little bit of a shot coming in there as well. I think those two tanks are damaging each other. Shockish can't get up. He's got to slide down to hit Rulzik. Oh dear. Tracking himself as well. So that hasn't worked out at all.
Fail.
Good blind shot coming in from Tarantula there as well. I don't know if it wasn't a direct connection there as well, but it definitely messed things up for DiNG.
I think he aimed in the right location, but I mean, that artillery's not always the most reliable thing. Artillery in general has been pretty heavily debuffed, nerfed as we've gone through. I mean, pretty much every patch consecutively for months basically removed the effectiveness of artillery, Tiffany, to my detriment. So I stopped playing it. I mean, obviously a lot of people don't like artillery pieces, but maybe not quite aware of the gameplay benefits it adds, and obviously it helps a lot in this. But I mean, you can see this is just not looking good for DiNG. They seem obviously fail miserably to get up the hill. International's been spotted out of that corner. They're running into each other. Meritorious is missing quite easily, and KB might just be able to win this on the back of just a very bad start for DiNG.
This is bizarre. It's thrown him into complete and utter disarray as well. After failing to get Shockish up on the hill, they have to go to a plan B. I mean, a lot of tactics do hinge wholly on being able to get one tank up on towards that hill. So now that DiNG haven't had to do that, been able to do that, they go for something else. Failware, though, takes a fair amount of damage, pushing up. Here's an IS-7, of course, with 2150 points of health, at full. So that's a lot. You can soak a bit of damage, there's no doubt about it. 3 IS-7s have moved onto the cap here from Knackebrod. They are going aggressively. Great shot there from Meritorious as well. That's going to catch on towards Artur. Going to take you a little bit low here, but DiNG still have to do something. Now, if they get a little bit too distracted in the middle of the map here, they've got to be careful about the cap, which is ticking down. Shockish is caught 2 shots in towards him. International is there. Stoic isn't too far away, and Hulking's trying to come back over the hill. Nice work. Hellfish drops down. DiNG just adapting on the fly here, and it seems to be working in their favor. Crux shooting over towards Shockish. Finally gets him off the map, but Pat is also going to fall here as well. Stoic going to try and get up close and personal, get the finish on him here, but time is running out.
Why is Crux always out of the battle? He put 2 of his friends forwards, and he's just completely out of the battle. But yeah, time is completely run out for them. The cap is done. Meritorious doesn't get the reload in time, and Knackebrod with an interesting side play in the middle managed to cap it and win it.
I mean, why is it that, there was only the artillery that was being kept as the reset tool? I mean, you're hinging your entire battle plan on Meritorious hitting those shots, and he did, but there's a reload time for that artillery as well. And you can see, he fired a shot after the cap was already completed. Why did DiNG just leave him to be the one guy keeping him in the game?
They wanted to get Shockish up onto the hill, first of all. That was their first plan, trying to keep that cap safe. So they had the International as well in the bush. So they did those 2 things that already failed. And then from now on, it was just trying to adapt and survive, and obviously they didn't work. They got the timing wrong. Good engagement for them in the middle. I think, if they managed to get the decap, it could have been a different game. But there was those 2 IS-7s for KBs that were just shitty in the cap, and they would have been hard to root out in time as well.
And they'd taken a lot of damage, those IS-7s, but the fight being concentrated over towards the middle of the map here, and Knackebrod willingly putting, I guess, weaker numbers in towards the middle to keep the spearhead of DiNG busy before they could actually go over and reset that cap at all. Very interesting. You can see here, look at Hocknick. Hocknick wants to fight here. He's not even caring about the cap at all. I mean, he'd have to go on his own, I guess, if he did, but
Crux should be in this fight, though. I think, you know, it's a losing fight, but at the end of the day, if you play well, those 3 tanks could have gone, you know, taken 2 or 3 of those tanks out themselves. Yes, okay, there was Hulknick on the side, but Hulknick had to go in decap, and, you know, technically Hulknick should have just ignored that 3 versus 3 and gone for the decap anyway. So I think this is the problem with KB. It happened that previous round as well. Crux sitting in the back lines, not going with his team, not being a team player in those situations, and I see that's a problem with KB in some of the other players as well. So it's something they have to work out and improve here on the next map goes down.
Yeah, luckily for them, I guess it wasn't really a factor. I mean, it wasn't their undoing, at least in this occasion, because they had 3 IS-7s on the cap already capping, and for some reason DiNG it was like catnip in the middle of the map. It's like, there's some tanks. Hocknick's like, yeah, let's go, boys, let's go. Like, you know, I don't know.
Cap completely caught them by surprise. I mean, they were at least about 5-6 seconds away from being able to get a decap, excluding Meritorious in the artillery piece. So.
A little bit interesting stuff there from DiNG, and they unfortunately will drop that one away. Where they were winning the fight as well, on by and large as well, which is just a strange thing. But you know, we have to look towards the next map now as well, which is got to be Ghost Town, which is one that you definitely in the past, or at least from what we've seen so far, have been favouring Knackebrod for.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they look like a good team. We saw them play last time, and we saw DiNG play this one as well. I mean, they went 1-1 against Rusty Roster. So, I mean, both these teams have a little bit of experience. It seems to be a map which teams are, again, playing. I mean, Ghost Town was the least played map last season. So, you know, we've already seen it in 3 or 4 matches, which is more than we probably saw in the whole of the Season 1.
Yes, well, Ghost Town is the next map, and we'll fly over for you now as well. It's perfectly symmetrical, actually, map if you cut it on the diagonal, which is really interesting. A lot of fighting happens in towards the middle, and often out towards that side cap as well. Flanking your enemy, very, very important. So we'll have to see now if who's going to have the better flank. It seems to be, you know, both teams trying to flank each other, and we can have some interesting situations as a result. The FV215Bs are in here as well. Stoik and Hulknick actually favouring the E100s themselves.
Yeah, I mean, KB won 2 of these rounds against Pentasports with the FV215Bs. I think they're probably the most effective damage dealer in terms of, you know, being able to pump out as much DPM as possible with the amount of HP they have as well. Interestingly, Meritorious with the T57 Heavy, we saw that work out quite nicely yesterday, I believe, for Utopia. So let's have to see if it works out again. But early damage going into the International, doesn't be able to use that derp gun, goes down right at the beginning.
Completely caught out there on the cross. Good positioning from Knackebrod. It's nothing overly special, really. That was a standard location for them to push to with those tanks, and International just backing himself a little bit too far, I'd like to think. But there's some damage towards Tarantula. He's over in the back line. I don't even know if he really knows where he's firing at this stage, as he just hit towards that car and it didn't inflict any real damage. So Bratty is actually going to go and reload prematurely here as well, feeling that, you know, KB have a little bit more time before they're actually going to get into a fight here. DiNG obviously on the defensive side, so they're, you know, playing it fairly slow. Easy as you like. Hellfish and Crooks there as well. You can see that Crux has just been taking a few shots with that ST1, trying to catch on to, hopefully, Stoik or Hulknick, but not an easy job against these 2 E100s.
No, they're just a doorstop. There's no way you can get through there. You can basically get one shot if you don't be careful. But I mean, another interesting thing is that KB are playing a lot more defensively than they played against Penta. I mean, the reason why they won against Penta is because they were looking for those corners. They were trying to go around, play aggressively, and you know, catch Pentasports by surprise in the kind of back and forward situations. Also, I mean, you got to remember these guys are using heat ammo, so you have quite a lot of scenery. You have a lot of scenery, and obviously heat ammo doesn't go through scenery. Only APCR penetrates through, you know, cars and bushes and not bushes, fences and brick walls and stuff like that. So that's another reason why heat is not so effective. But damage does go towards Crooks.
Yeah, he takes one shot from the E100s, and to his credit, actually able to send one back in the direction of Stoik there. So he's doing his job right now in that position. I mean, at some stage, Knackebrod have to come forward and attack here. And you can see the 50B and the Object 140 are actually moving, well, parallel there across the south. They're going to try and get some flanking done here. And DiNG are spaced out fairly evenly around. They're just watching every corner. Every corner has a tank posted on it, so they can always react to anything strange that KB are going to try and orchestrate towards them. But Bratty and Tarantula here could be a very, very important factor. They might, if they find Meritorious on his own as well, it could be very much a boon to them. But he's backing up as well. He's sticking very, very close to Shockish. Bratty has still found nothing yet.
And Tarantula with him as well. Those two are a nice roaming squad. I mean, I like that. You have the turret of Bratty, the kind of turret damage, and Tarantula can kind of be a satellite to him going out. And Tarantula has found the back of Shockish here, could do some damage. Does manage to connect that shell. Very nice little flick shot there. And it looked like KB for a second wanted to go up north, but probably realizing that the wall of that FE215B would be hard to get through. And Tarantula finding a way onto the back of Shockish gives opportunities for KB to egress.
I was going to say slower map here. That was what I was just about to point out. Neither of these two teams really going for too much. KB, of course, they're the ones that have to make the move. They are maneuvering a little bit now as well. 3 tanks being rotated here towards the southern side of the city. And it looks like they want to set up around this capture point number 2. Now, the only person who'll have an issue with that is Crux, who's up and towards the northeastern side. He's inching forward. He'd love to have a little bit of control over that main access point as well. He'll probably be the first to go down if DiNG do eventually go for that sort of retake and push forward. They are coming forward now as well. In from the north, they're setting up to go for this one, and Crux knows it as well. Hulknick coming out around the corner as well. Crux missing his shot, or at least not connecting it in a meaningful manner. And now he's going to have 2 E100s looking straight at him. It looks like DiNG wants to take the fight to KB.
Yeah, they're really just keeping Crux in a position where he can't move. First one does bounce from Hulknick, but Stoik also second one bounces, and Paddy is going up against a lot, but these two are holding on well.
Yeah, Crux is going to be surrounded, and his second shots are going to come in towards him from behind. He won't be alive for too much longer here, but Paddy can still get some meaningful damage done himself here up towards the side. And you know, DiNG going into this one here as well, but always still in a position where they can take damage. You can see now off Rulzik, a little bit of damage being done. Bratty's pushing forward, so is Failware. Tarantula will be there with him as well. They're going to try and flank themselves. This is what I mean, flanks and counter flanks. It's all about that kind of stuff here. Stoik and Hulknick, though, slowly turning those big guns in the direction of Tarantula and Bratty. There's one shot. Bratty tracked up as well from that impact. And Hulknick, though, taking a lot of damage. The 50B has used all of its shots. He has to back away. He can no longer fight. But Tarantula fancies to stay around a little bit longer. He bounces one of those E100 shots off the front of him. And there's Rulzik getting tracked up a little bit in the open, but he's all right. Capture is underway as Meritorious fancies to go against Paddy as well.
Yeah, but I like the way Knackebrod are playing this one. They just keeping themselves together. They got the nice central location under control. They're just being able to peek. They're playing that square well, and, you know, Meritorious on reload is bad.
Very, very bad for the man. He wasn't able to really get the pick off that he wanted there, and Tarantula now actually able to get towards Stoik. He has his head turned away. You can see towards the side there, those E100s are trying to wonder, well, they're wondering who to go for, really, where to turn their attention. Tarantula finally takes a big hit from those E100s, who can turn a game on their head in a few seconds, but he still gets a finish on Stoik.
Yeah, good stuff there from Tarantula. I like the way he's playing that Object 140, getting behind, playing aggressively, and Bratty's now in the game as well. Finds Hulknick, nice little pickup for him. Almighty Arthur and Paddy having a little bit of a field day against Diplomat and Rulzik.
DiNG have run out of gas here well and truly here. It's all been because Knackebrod have had efficient trading. Their fights have been very, very good. I mean, it's been head-to-head for a lot of it. Hard to call, but those 2 E100s from DiNG really don't seem like they had much of an impact, or maybe not nearly as much as they would have liked to have had as probably a focal point here for DiNG's lineup.
Yeah, I mean, those E100s there to try and keep them at bay. I would say, you know, the E100s wasn't a problem. I mean, the thing is, DiNG decided to go against Crux, right? And Crux was in a position where he knows he can get flanked. DiNG went behind, but Paddy was just up on the kind of terrace area, and he did 4,100 damage. I think that's the highest damage we've seen so far in the season. He just pumped it into DiNG so much as they were going across that, you know, KB could just go forwards. They could get control of that middle area because, you know, they knew that DiNG was flanking, which allowed Tarantula to go behind. Bratty also to come in the equation. But this move here from Paddy is great. I mean, he just really softens up DiNG and, you know, makes up for Crux's death.
And Crux stays alive for quite a while as well. Bear in mind, he bounced to quite a few shots from those E100s before he finally went down. So absorbing a lot of damage there. Really just being a nuisance there as well. As a tier 9 as well. Not even one of those main tanks as well. I'm actually going to look at Crux and see how much... He's blocked 4,000 damage with his armor.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the ST1, it's so hard to penetrate. It's got these... It's got a spaced armor, which is so effective against, you know, heat. In the same way heat can't go through objects. Once it hits that spaced armor, is what spaced armor's for. Reactive armor, you know, that hot kind of molten core just goes in spaced armor, and then it hits the armor, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't do anything.
Dissipated away.
Dissipated,
from it,
exactly. So it's spread out, and very, very effective indeed. And you could see that had a big effect, and the E100s put 3 or 4 shells into him with really no effect.
4k damage. I mean, that's two tier 10s in itself there. So a lot of struggles there for those E100s to really make maybe the desirable impact there. I think as we do head to 2-1 in favour of Knackebrod here, and it's going to be, of course, still on Ghost Town. Will be our second round here. Now, Ellie, as well, I do want to bring you in here to ask you about the voting process, because these are two teams here that are maybe a little bit newer to the scene, and their fan bases are still growing. I do have to wonder whose side people are on.
It's fairly even at this point, but Knackebrod is leading with a 60% advantage, also on Twitter with 59%.
All right, so all over the board there. They are being favoured to win this one here. We're a few seconds from jumping into this one, but before we go into the game, Ellie, as well, people would be coming in here wondering maybe how to get in touch with us or how to participate in this mysterious vote.
Well, the main platforms for the votes are facebook.com/WGLEU and twitter.com/WGLEU. On both platforms, we have votes. On the Facebook one, you can win bonus codes, so get involved. Vote for your favorite team. You'll find the link in the very first post on our timeline. Just click it and you'll get forwarded. Choose your team logo for the team you're rooting for. Predict the exact scoreline in the little text field below. Send it off and hope for the best. 5 first people will get bonus codes.
Excellent. Easy as that. Now, of course, we're into our 4th round here, and honestly, Knackebrod now going towards the defensive side, so maybe more comfortable for them here as Hellfish seems to be getting boosted up in the Borsig as well, being brought out. The tier 8 tank destroyer, interesting there from Hellfish, has the long gun as well, so that extra penetration, not as much damage, but a bit more effective in this situation.
Yeah, 12.8. I mean, 490 damage, great rate of fire. It's a true beast of a sniper. Yeah, I think at that range is probably the better gun to choose.
All right, well, Shockish, Rulesick, Diplomat, they're all pushing forward. They've all got those FV215Bs as well. They've gone away from the E100s, not feeling really great about them after what sort of happened last time. Now, this is interesting. Diplomat, I thought he was even going to try a bit of a weird side scrape there as well, but he's going to come forward. Failware, bit of a blind shot, I think, across, just to check those spots. And that Borsig can do a lot of work from that position here. Diplomat, probably unaware of it. He could be caught here.
I mean, that's the plan for KB. They want to play defensively, keep control over the caps, and just punish Diplomat. I mean, Diplomat is really going to be able to be in trouble here. Now, previously in 754, we saw the kind of defensive move here from other teams was have artillery and have that as a decap. But we had a lot of issues where the artillery was not able to, land the shells that needed to land, and teams capped regardless.
Hellfish there, another shot. Doesn't quite connect that one from as far as we can see. And Knackebrod now, they're on the move. They're moving through the city. Got a 110E5 and FV215B there as well, so they're making their way across here. At least there is a setup here for DiNG, expecting some sort of push from or out from the centre here. Meritorious sitting a little bit far back. He might be tempted to push forward in a moment to deal with the mighty Artur, but Bratty is out on the side as well. So Meritorious has to be very, very careful about the flanking potential here. Now Shockish makes his first shot count. Meritorious getting involved as well. So Paddy and Artur taking a fair bit of damage early on in the piece here. Probably nothing to write home about too much here. And Artur trying to take the fight towards Meritorious. He knows he's going to be out of ammo in just a second, but Artur doesn't connect that shot. And it looks like DiNG have guns trained in every direction here as well, and KB are being punished.
Yeah, they are. I mean, KB's being aggressive, even though on the defensive side I thought they would be really defensive, but they are being punished left, right, and center. 928 damage goes towards Bratty. You can see 2,000 HP now ahead for DiNG almost. Not going well, and Meritorious also coming off reload down.
Now, Knackebrod have filtered themselves in towards this little road, and they've got to be careful. If Meritorious can hold on for long enough, Artur can be flanked out pretty badly. Failware and Paddy can't fire up towards the upper side quite yet. They do have the elevation on those guns, but they want to come around behind Meritorious there. He gets away, though. He's alive. Shockish takes a hit from Paddy. Where are those two firing? They want to try and take out Failware. Failware's just walking through enemy territory right now. He realized he's gone way too deep. And Knackebrod here look like they might lose this one. They're very, very, very far behind in health points already.
Yeah, I would say this game is very, very hard to come back from. I mean, DiNG has just gone forwards. They had the great angles, and Meritorious might fall. And it's still chances here for Knackebrod. As long as Tarantula can do some good damage and stay alive, they still have a chance. But you can look at DiNG's HP. They got a lot more, and none of their tanks are one-shots.
That's right. So they can always reply with some shots if they do get pushed towards now. Crux connects with Holnick. Hognick's still on reload as well. Maybe hoping to, like, as much as you can, pretend like you do have shots left and you're trying to line one up. It's a tactic you can play in those autoloaders, but I think Crux is he's turning his back on Hognick there. Or I don't know really if he realised the actual status on that reload time, but he's being surrounded. That was an interesting move there, I think, from Brulzik. But here he goes, pushes straight on towards him now. And Hellfish, well, he's right in the back corner of the map here now. It has to be a cap situation for DiNG now. I mean, they'll be able to do that easily enough. Hellfish can't do much in that position. He'll probably try and blind fire. He probably can't be spotted for a little bit longer now, though. I think it's only like 400 to 390 meter view range there. So as the 50Bs get closer, they will be able to see him as he fires.
Yeah, I mean, Hellfish was just in a position to try and keep that cap down south completely safe, and he's going to be spotted even with even with the camo net. Sorry, yeah. Just slipped my mind. Couldn't see it. Obviously too camouflaged. But yeah, I mean, he was going to get taken down at some point. It's game over, and it was a good boost, but didn't really do too much for them. I mean, if I have a look at the amount of damage he did 1.3k, which is the middle of the field kind of thing.
Yeah, average. But I mean, you know, DiNG's position didn't really lend to Hellfish actually be able to make too many shots from that position as well. So not much you can do if the enemy team don't come to the party. So 2 maps in, one apiece on each of them. More city maps, of course. Oh joy. Ruinberg as well, another map notorious for that 1-1 scoreline here.
So I mean,
3-3 after 3 maps seems quite possible.
We could be looking towards a second tiebreaker of the night.
Yep.
Easily. I mean, that last round, I mean, it was lost straight away because it seemed to me that KB thought that DiNG was slightly more back. You can see in this situation, I mean, Paddy a little bit egotistical with his play. Perfect positioning by DiNG. And Meritorious gets all 4 shells away, and that's already 1.6k damage. And so many tanks, so much HP lost. The lower ground lost, the positions lost. Bratty also receiving 920 on the cross. I mean, I would say at this point, the game is, as long as DiNG played it correctly, which they did, the game is almost over. You can see Rulzek and Shokish are coming from behind, and they have the higher ground. I mean, that's just an untenable situation if you're KB.
I think the moment you push out of that middle part of the map as well, you're committed. Because there's so much no man's land in between that middle diamond and, of course, where Shokish is right now, or where they push towards. So you're either one or the other. You can't be in the middle because you're just going to get wrecked that way. But the problem is that Knackebrod paraded themselves in front of every position that DiNG's tanks were ready to fire from. They just came straight across them. I mean, you know, and they walked into that trap as well. And this is a team on the defensive side. Like, this is Knackebrod, who we expect to actually be quite strong on this map. They favour city maps. They play well with heavy lineups. But that seemed like a very interesting, aggressive push there as well. And they put together such a perfect defensive side, as attacking side, sorry, should I say. But defense was a little bit weaker for them there as well. I don't really know how they came to the conclusion that they should push forward like that.
No, I mean, I think they should have probably stayed safe. I mean, they had that cap safe on the western side, on the northern side. They had that cap completely locked down with Hellfish, so no need for them to do it. I think they probably had probably thought they had a little bit more space than they actually did. But I mean, we're now moving on to Ruinberg, and it's a different kind of ball game, slightly more biased towards the defensive side these days. So it could be one all scoreline, as you mentioned. Yeah,
defense definitely seems to be very much more comfortable on this map as well. Wombat's on tanks gave us a great showing on this map though as well. I think they actually won both rounds there as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, they won all 5.
Yeah, they won all 5, so they must have. Yeah. That was quite impressive. So we have to see now if either of these teams can maybe replicate that one and actually, create a gap in score between the two of them here. I mean, winning 2 gets you on match points, so can't really go wrong with that one. Anyway, let's have a little bit of a look, of course, at Ruinberg. Fairly straightforward. Concentric city streets sprawling out from the western side. And of course, on the east, you do have those open field. So, this map lends itself to 2 sort of styles of play. You can work through the city, but you do have to go out towards the field if you want to capture those points. And as Knackebrod there, it's going to be their responsibility here. They're flooding through that middle street here. Fairly standard, I'd like to think, but they're not putting too many tanks towards the southern side of the map here, which I find a little bit interesting.
Yeah, and also interesting is that DiNG is playing exactly the same tactic they did against Rusty Roster on this match, with the Meritorious in the artillery, the T110 E4. So, I mean, Knackebrod is 100% aware that they can't just push straight in towards that eastern village as easily. You've got to be very careful, as Meri has that reload just about now. Will he be able to connect the shell? Almost certainly will. He had AP loaded on that one. That is a dangerous, and that's a gamble you often can't take. Because you're shooting the side of the tanks, there's a good chance that you're going to hit either the spaced armor of an IS-7, or you're simply going to hit the tracks like he did.
Bratty, yeah. I mean, he could have been really badly punished for that one. Last time we saw Meritorious actually from that position, he did a heck of a lot of damage and really crippled one of those tanks here. So we've seen this before. This looked very much like the DiNG game. I feel that, one team sort of pushing up there, trying to deny that artillery any effect, getting close here amongst these buildings. So maybe even DiNG expecting this as well. They go, well, our enemy's going to know that we have artillery. Meritorious is going to have a shot, and they're going to realise that they can't actually sit out in the open here. They need to, develop a concrete advantage before they actually go for any sort of cap attempt, which is fairly normal. But these IF-7s now, very, very vulnerable against Meritorious in the open. They have to seek the shelter of these buildings and hopefully to win a fight around them as well. So,
Well, they're going to start capping, I guess, at some point in time. They got the RU-251 in the middle, which actually went down when another team played this tactic. I think for DiNG, I mean, their attacking side on Ruinberg was truly atrocious against Rusty Roster. I have to say, it was really bad. So they really want to be getting this round done. Interesting position by Crooks. I mean, notoriously, the E50M has a weak turret, very square, and obviously, the tank was never really went past the blueprints stage. I think there was some discussion. I don't think there's even any blueprints. I think it was maybe one of the tanks which Wargaming fabricated out of hearsay from, some of the design departments of Rheinmetall. So easy stuff from KB. They're starting to push up north with a 2-5-1 in the back chat.
all right. Well, in the north as well, this might be good. There's Knackebrod actually maybe just, trying to feign towards a big movement in the east and then go towards the north here. And this isn't bad because there's not much of a setup here at all right now for DiNG. But still, Tarantula takes a lot of damage. They're at least able to turn their turrets and get over towards the attacking Knackebrod tanks. He goes down. Hellfish now pushing forward though as well. He can go against Diplomat fairly happily here as well. Just has to avoid shooting towards a turret, but he's got 4 shots left. Diplomat backs right up. Hellfish is very, very quick in that batch out. Yeah, Meritorious can make a shot from here as well.
He's on reload, so I mean, Hellfish has got to get in and out and get this done as quickly as possible.
Well, he's got to commit to going around the corner if he wants to take Diplomat. Diplomat
He's dead if he does that.
Yeah, that's right. And Diplomat knows exactly Meritorious will be taking some shots as well. Some coming in as well from Knackebrod towards Diplomat there as they're set up over towards the village side as well. Hellfish has 2 left. Easy kill if he wants to take that one here as well. Bratty now, a bit of a fight starting in the middle of the map here, and this is looking very, very interesting. Almighty Archer gets chunked right on down to 609 points of health. Hockney continuing to come back and forth here with that 50B. He's got 1 shell left. He's going to use it, no doubt about it. And the 263 there for Rulzik there. Interesting pickup. He hits over towards Archer very, very hard, drops him super low. And Internationals there in the 110 E4. DiNG were hoping for a fight in the middle of the map. They brought these big tank destroyers, and they're ready to go head to head.
And also, you got the 50 MX Batchat actually up north, which got taken down by Diplomat and Hockney. So great stuff. But Meritorious lands that shell through the buildings onto Arto.
Not an easy place to land artillery shots from, as that's the whole reason why Knackebrod are fighting around this part of the map. Bratty going very, very low as well. He exposes his side there to International and Hockney. He gets picked off. Failware going to have a shot in towards him behind. He's going to go towards Rulzik, but he's not going to have enough damage to 1v1 against him now. The 263 is going to stay alive for now. Pad is caught between a lot of big tanks. Shots are going to come in towards him soon enough. It's Crux versus Shockish over here as well. Crux should get the finish here, but outside of that, it's all done and dusted.
Yeah, game over. Crux takes down Shockish, the team captain of DiNG. But still 6 remaining for DiNG. Only 2 tanks are 1 shots. The rest seem to be pretty healthy. And Crux really with an impossible mission right now, as Rulzik in that 263 is going to come around the corner any second.
Well, true to form and true to the trend. The defensive round proving to be a little bit too strong there, or at least for DiNG. They make it work quite easily with them now. Some interesting tank picks actually that they took on this one. I'd like to get your opinion on seeing that 263 thrown in the mix and the 110 E4 inside the city. Definitely gives away a lot of the kind of plan here, I feel, for DiNG.
Well, I mean, it's not really that much plan on Ruinberg. You're defending. You're going to be sitting there. So it's one of those few maps where you can just basically pick any lineup and you can, not worry about getting counter strategy because it's just defensive side. So I mean, the T263 is brilliant. I mean, it did the highest damage here, the 3K. It's a bit awkward to play, but it can bounce a lot, and it's the highest DPM gun, highest DPM tank in the game, and used very effectively indeed. I think 590 damage it can do. 490 damage, somewhere there, 590, pretty sure it is. But a truly fantastic tank. And, Crux did 2.5k again, sitting back, not really in the fight with his team. I think if KB had won that fight with the Batchat, I think it was Hellfish. If he managed to take down Diplomat, by the way, Diplomat should have probably fallen since he is on 54 HP, and a decent roll for for Hellish would have made a big difference there. But if that had happened, of course, you know, Meritorious would have fallen instantly, and there would have been some support from a bat chat from behind, which wouldn't have forced KB to go into the middle. I think KB expected that one-on-one exchange to go towards their favor.
It was very, very close as well. Diplomat was just trying to keep himself safe behind that building, and well, there actually were some shots coming in from the IS-7s in the middle of the map. Knackebrod were trying to help, I guess, Hellfish actually win that engagement because they knew how important it would be to have a bat chat behind enemy lines as well. And I mean, Meritorious would have been next on the chopping board if he'd gotten through. So,
exactly.
I mean, you know, you look at it that way as well. It's not too bad at all from Knackebrod there. The strategy that they're applying seem to, you know, definitely have some potential. But unfortunately, if the execution's not there, it doesn't really matter how good your plans are. Obviously, and you did sort of point out some damage as well. We saw Meritorious get that cheeky little finish towards Artur there on the replay. You know, he only did 75 damage for the whole game there, so really having an impact.
He was just using, I think it's a temptation which a lot of artillery players have, which is to use AP ammo instead of HE. In my opinion, if you really look at it, okay, you have one shot and you want to do as much damage as you can with one shot, but I think you should just use HE because you know you're going to do some damage then. And when you're shooting the side of tanks, it's unreliable to use AP. I mean, if you have a lot of penetration like you do with that AP ammo on that artillery, there's a good chance you're going to penetrate regardless. So I think, you know, you should have used HE, but I have to see how that's going to work out. He hasn't picked out artillery this time. Oh yeah, he has. Meritorious is picking up the M53, M55. So he's switching up from that German Tier 9 to the American Tier 9.
Well, let's see what he is going to be trying to do with it here. I mean, why the switch? Why is he thinking of changing over? Any preference, maybe?
Well, it's just super fast and easy to use that M53, M55. You've got a great firing angle. It's very mobile, very agile, very easy to get around the map.
All right, well, let's see what he does with it now as we jump in towards this next one. It's the last round, of course, on Ruinberg. How sad. As DiNG now pushing out with the International. Stoik is there in the 54. Diplomat as well in his own bat chat. And Shokish in the IS-4. So this time, much more than Knackebrod did, they're putting their forces towards the southern part. No one towards the middle road yet. I guess they definitely want to have a good amount of protection there as well for Meritorious. But yeah, definitely have no interest to try and take control of that middle part of the map.
No, not at all. Just completely leaving it open. International gets the first shell caught by Tarantula. Good little peek there from the 251, and Mighty Arthur is International getting safe now off reload as well. But as you mentioned, DiNG wanting to get the zero line as much as possible, using the artillery to try and soften some of Knackebrod, and yeah, that's what's going to happen right now. I think it's going to be a standoff game here for DiNG at the beginning.
Yeah, well, those IS-7s have already managed to push quite forward. Pad and Artur having a few shots in. Tarantula does take a hit in that 251. And DiNG playing back on it quite a lot here as well. You can see Diplomat Stoik up in the bottom corner or the back corner of the map there as well. Slowly inching their way across that road. Not really sure what they can expect to run into when it comes to that village or that small township fight. And the bat chat there of International pinned a little bit for the moment here. He doesn't really have any of his team. Well, he's the most forward player in his team. And he's in a position where he has to peek over or crest over to actually take shots. So it's not really very safe for him at the moment with a 50B and an FE 215B looking at him from over on the eastern side. A little bit tricky. But the 50B also moving through the city streets here for DiNG and might try and flex him towards that middle road. Maybe just try and take Knackebrod by surprise.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's on Meritorious. He's the one who's got to get the damage because at the moment his team is not doing particularly well. You can see 14,000 to 11,000, and Meri has yet to really connect any of his shells, and that's eventually going to have to happen. He's aiming towards the two IS-7s there, so see if he makes a shell any time now. But they obviously have to be spotted first, so they have to peek or be peeked upon.
And who's going to do that job? I mean, they got a 54 out towards off towards the side there. I mean, this is very, very scary to push into, or if you're trying to gain information. I mean, DiNG foregoing that light tank, that little scout, the tier 8, obviously for having a piece of artillery. And this is very interesting as well. Crux and Hellfish moving along the top here as well. To deny this part away from DiNG will make it very, very hard. In fact, almost impossible for them to actually get a capture over on that point number 2. So shots are coming in towards these two now, and Hellfish is going towards Stoik. Does a bit of damage, gets tracked up himself there. Got to be careful that Meritorious isn't looking in that direction because artillery could really hurt. He does just miss that shot there on the M53, M55. But here's another push from the Knackebrod as well. This game, really back and forth health here. I definitely favour Knackebrod going forward. They've got an extra 4k health and they're hitting their shots.
Yeah, they're doing so well. I mean, they won the early peaks. It was a really nice move to use the gun depression of the FV4 215B and just take down that T54 lightweight. Shockish is next on the chopping board.
Yes, well, very unconvincing attack here from DiNG. They didn't really do anything, to be honest, except get into position. So Knackebrod, they said, well, this time we were going to make a move. We're going to push forward here. It didn't work out for us on Ghost Town, but we back ourselves a little bit more in this particular situation, and it seems to have worked out. Diplomat and Hulknik now just trying to hold things together for their team. Hellfish is a one-shot, but that's not really going to take too much pressure off of DiNG with how many tanks KB have pushing forward here. Hellfish is gladly going to sit towards the back. Artur will round the corner, put a chunky shot in towards Hulknik. Pad will miss his, just jumping the gun a little bit there, I think. And Hellfish doesn't even bother. So, the cleanup crew is in. Janitorial staff are on the move. And Hulknik will drop.
Yeah, so Diplomat and Meritorious left, that artillery piece. Diplomat and the Batjet. Just a few seconds away from reload. Might be able to find Hellfish, actually. Probably will with his next shell if he can get the gun depression. And Meritorious also coming off reload. Diplomat now spotted, will get copped down extraordinarily quickly.
Yeah, being tracked out there is just an absolute nightmare for a Batchat. Diplomat isn't going to move as well. He realizes that there's not much he can really do at all. And Meritorious is sitting right back in the corner towards the city. He will eventually be spotted by Crux. Cheeky little shot around the corner there. Does make the connection, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. Of course, take a hell of a lot more than that to get DiNG through that here. So, back and forth. Like a pendulum, these two teams are going here. We kind of expect to see that from Ruinberg here, but our last map of normal stage to come, it's going to be Prokhorovka now, the first more open map, I believe. So.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've had we've had Ghost Town, which is a pretty balanced map. You can have anything on that, but I mean that round, those two rounds. I mean, I honestly feel Ruinberg is a little bit a bit useless right now. I just don't see why it should be in the map pool. And obviously in the rules, it does say that maps can be removed and added as we go through the season, just depending on how we feel the meta is changing. But right now, I think there's no point. It's completely unnecessary to have Ruinberg in there because it is going to be a 1-on-1 most of the time. I think we saw some maybe 1 in 5 rounds, 1 in 6 rounds going to the attack on Ruinberg last season, and that was when you had 4 chances, when you had 2 chances on the attack and 4 chances on Ruinberg altogether. So yeah, I'm not sure. Very convincing. I mean, I clearly could see that it looked like DiNG wanted to get some early damage with Meritorious, but Meritorious just did absolutely nothing in that game. 794 damage, which was that last useless shell he did against Crooks. So yeah, they wanted to soften up KB, but KV softened them up.
No doubt about it there as well. Pushing forward as well. This is a team that seems to get sick and tired of sitting back and waiting here. And they always confident pushing forward. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't here. But as it stands, ladies and gentlemen, it's 3 apiece between these two teams. Every map that we've seen has gone 1-1, 1-1, 1-1. So another tiebreaker is definitely a possibility here if we have that same situation repeated on Prokhorovka.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if one of these two teams win a round on Prokhorovka, we'll be going to that 9th round. And that's a real possibility. I mean, let's be honest here, on steps, DiNG looked pretty good. KB made some mistakes. KB looked pretty good. KB made some mistakes. I mean, we saw at the beginning on Prokhorovka, which is, an open map like steps, KB went aggressive down that side and got caught out. There's also traps like here on steps that can also be fallen into. Yeah,
absolutely, of course. You can be caught off the rest of your team by pushing just a little bit too far. The hills that run sort of laterally along the map as well are a really, really important feature as well as the one in the middle. It's all about trying to, as an attacker at least, pull your enemy team into a position where they are putting themselves in a compromising position to try and reset here. And of course, we've seen this one already tonight a couple times, or once already, should I say. Probably will see it in the next one as well. Yep, we will. So train line straight down the middle as well. We saw Out of Range get put in a very awkward position when they committed to the wrong side of the map on the defensive side. So you've really, as defenders, have got to make sure that you can respond to anything, whether it happens, whichever side of the train tracks it occurs on.
Exactly. The first time I think we're seeing a team going to that left side. I mean, we've seen a lot of teams go to the right side. When I was watching the scrims on Prokhorovka, I saw this tactic DiNG is actually using quite often. International is going to spot him out. Will he actually get taken down as Hellfish and Pada are there?
There's a little bit of a dead spot there he can drop into. Now, he's safe from everyone except Bratty there. He'll be able to get out and run into his team and get tracked up. But this is a push here from DiNG. They really don't want to waste too much time. Now,
so many STBs.
This spot has perennial perennially... I'm not going to bother. It's always been a good spot to go with for hold down tanks. There's a bit of a dip here as well. That bowl makes it very, very hard. Bratty will probably be the only threat right now, and he's getting chunked down. But DiNG have walked straight in towards this one. Losing that tank early hurt them, no doubt about it. Knackebrod have lost one, at least. You can see the DiNG are just trying to fire back as well. Very much a head-to-head. The last few rounds have been quite slow. I really don't think this one will follow in the same fashion. No,
it's still quite slow, and I mean, the exchanges are interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, finally, you can see one team is actually going off to the side, but you know, you got Tarantula there in the 2-5-1 who's actually aiding, and it looks like KB want to push.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, that's kind of the attitude they've had for most of these rounds here, and it seems to be going well for them so far. Meritorious catches on towards Hellfish, but that's not really going to take the wind out of KB sails right now. They have a good lead in terms of health points. Failware drops down. Meritorious now on an STB instead of an artillery piece. It's a 4v3. DiNG running out of tanks, running out of health. Meritorious takes yet another hit as well. Crux is going around the side, and Rulzik goes to a one-shot. Diplomat isn't far off either as Artur is just pelting across now. A lot of shots going in towards him. He's taking a lot of damage to get this position, but Crux is there. He'll get the finish on Diplomat. Rulzik already went down. It's just going to be Meritorious left up against two full health tanks. Not a snowball's hope in hell.
No, definitely not. In that brilliant STB1, Crux and Tarantula will be able to finish this off. Tarantula does get that final kill against Meri, and Knackebrod put another one on the round on the score table, and 4-3. Seemed to me like it looked like they wanted to go forwards, they wanted to be aggressive against KB, but at the end of the day, KB with those IS-7s, good damage by Bratty at the beginning in the bat chat, taking about 1.2k off an STB. You know, that's a lot of damage, and with the IS-7s being able to peek over, not being so easy to penetrate, it looked like KB just started to edge ahead quite quickly.
I mean, if you're Bratty in that position, and the way DiNG pushing forward, you know you're going to die. You're going to die first, no doubt about it.
And Holding 0 damage as well.
That's pretty bad. An STB as well. So, yeah. I mean, he's fired twice and bounced twice.
Yeah. I mean, he's like one of the first guys to go in here. He does nothing. I mean, you can't have a tier 10 tank doing nothing in a game. That's suicide. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone needs to be pulling their weight. I mean, of course, you know, you could do like 1,000 damage, 800 damage, all right, but look how quickly he goes down, and I think this is probably one of the main reasons why DiNG end up losing this round.
There's a big problem with committing so many tanks to this bowl when you have no mid presence on this map. You see,
exactly.
Like DiNG have pushed their tanks in towards this one here, and Failware and Almighty Artur, they're not being punished at all for coming in from another angle. So there's two angles, three in fact, if you consider Bratty off towards the side of the hill. They could fire in. DiNG literally just they took the pot out of the cupboard, they filled it with water, put it on the stove, jumped in, and then threw a couple of leeks and carrots on themselves and said, here you go, boys, have at us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they should have come from a few different angles there. Tarantula, you know, is pretty slow to go over towards that train track, but he's there eventually, and that stops Rulzik, who finally has the brilliant idea of flanking. Once you have those high DPM tanks, the faster the STBs, you know, you can get the angles in. So, I mean, it should have been a double-pronged attack there from DiNG.
Yeah, that's right. And they just filtered themselves into, you know, and the bowl's good, of course, if you have tanks that can punish elsewhere on the map here. It just makes no sense to literally put everyone into the frying pan. So interesting stuff there from DiNG, and that is a big mistake, and that's costly for them as well, because you know, they dropped that first round away now, and do bear in mind, of course, it was the defensive side for KB on there as well. So they came forward, they were happy to push in. At least these guys, the KB, can identify when they can come forward, and actually it will be a positive thing for them. I mean, when you've got so many angles to come in from as well, it's hard to say no to that kind of juicy meat waiting for you at the other end of the map. But this time, of course, things are going to be turned around. KB going to be on the attacking side, but there are better ways to attack. I see a lot of teams that play on Prokhorovka. They play around the objectives or ignore them. They try and fight over the middle of the map here, and you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to get advantages with tactical depth.
Yeah, I mean, it's very unusual to see a team actually capping on Prokhorovka. The most we see is a team going into a cap, sitting there, putting some pressure on the other team and forcing the other team to go forwards, or just trying to get some angles. Sometimes the cap's just the most effective place to shoot from at the end of the day. You know, for instance, on that right side 2 cap, you can shoot quite effectively over those train lines. So have to see how it goes now. I mean, KB now on match point 4-3. They're now on the attacking side as well. Pretty fast lineup from them. Object 140s, STBs. I think that's what we're going to expect. A good mixture of damage and rate of fire, and Almighty Arthur playing that STB. IS-7 as well from KB, seem to like the IS-7, and Tarantula with the Lorraine.
All right, so in very much a different style as Knackebrod, DiNG are going out towards the eastern side. We've seen this many times before here as well. And they won't be caught as a result. KB resorting to a bit more of a static setup here, bringing that artillery as fast as the 155-51 can be eventually. It's quicker than most of the other artillery pieces here, but they sort of just need to defend it a little bit here now. And they'll use this strike force in the middle of the map. They're trying to light some people up. Failware there, of course, because it's an IS-3, IS-7 to brawl around. Bratty trying to do some scouting. But when they realise where DiNG has actually set themselves up here, it's fairly likely that Knackebrod will head towards the north and maybe set up along the 2 line and maybe try and work onto their cap point number 1.
Yeah, so, I mean, KB is exactly going to do that. They're going to sit here. Then they're probably going to send a tank to camp number 1, see what happens, and then move forwards. But the 2 T110E5s is where Tarantula, of course, will be wanting to shoot at. The slow, cumbersome, kind of bigger, a little bit compact American heavy tanks. Not that hard to hit with that deadly accurate French artillery tier 8 piece. So let's see what happens. You've actually got DiNG now going from the hill down to the south as KB aren't going forwards. And KB at the same time aggressing all the way from south to north.
So DiNG have good coverage across this train line, really. They can all perch up there. They have a lot of angles to be firing from. They're not going to funnel themselves out from the middle of the map either, so it's important to note. Hard for KB to really get meaningful overmatch scenarios against them in some ways, because there's always going to be someone watching each other's back for DiNG. You can see they can see a heck of a lot of the map from where they are. Roll over, take a shot, stay if they want to, or back up. Stoic there as well on the 110E5, so good gun depression from these guys. Hull down is it's a bit of a steep hill, of course, on that train line, but still a possibility there just to stick your hull over and do a bit of damage. But more often than not, you have to crest properly. Hellfish going to the standard capture spot here. Knackebrod lined up, and have to see now what the response is going to be from DiNG.
Yeah, so I mean, Hellfish is going to put some pressure on, but International's coming around from the side, and Almighty Artur is in that standard position, though. I think he spotted him, but both of them are spotted. He's got to be careful. Some shots just go towards him. Nothing connecting, though, and still the cap's on the way. I mean, the obvious move here from DiNG is to send some tanks through the middle and also send those T110E5s.
Couple bounces coming through here. Stoic only taking 1 shot's worth. That's not too bad at all. And on the move, he catches on towards Bratty, who's got to be a little bit pissed off about that one, surely. Shockish over the top. Shot towards Hellfish. A lot of bounces there. Incredible stuff. Those 110E5s really already having paid for themselves here in terms of how much damage they're able to stave off. And Hellfish actually was forced to roll off the cap there. So Shockish, he rolled over, he crested, got a reset, and backed off, and took no damage as a result.
Yeah, so fantastic set of tanks here. I mean, a lot of teams have struggled, but DiNG with these E5s, they got the gun depression and they got the armor to be able to just avoid those snipers all the way back, you know, taking the bait but also receiving no damage for it. Veilware receives some damage from the side of the 338 with the I-7, and KB are now forced to go forward. Remember, they are on the attack. They're the ones who've got to make this happen, and they know time is of the essence.
Crux getting peppered there as well. 2 shots in from those STB-1s over the train line, just shooting straight through, easily made there. Really quite safe firing positions for those Japanese medium tanks. And Artur as well has just stopped in his tracks here a little bit. Knackebrod running into a lot of difficulty here as well. They can't really come forward. I mean, they've got an IS-7 that has to trundle his way across that E-line as well to get involved in these fights here. Hellfish has now been caught out. Stoic and Shockish looking very, very good. Shot in as well. Another bounce. Many bounces from these two. We'll have to check them later on exactly how much damage they've been able to turn away with their armor. But Knackebrod, they still have to attack. They're behind on health points, 2k even. Down a gun. It's going to be very, very difficult for them now. They're trying to pull themselves together. And, you know, that Lorraine, you have to wonder how much impact that artillery's really been able to have here.
862 damage just going on to that IS-7. That's a lot. I mean, Lorraine has not done much because it wasn't able to take down Shockish. And it looks like we're going to be heading towards a tiebreaker if it continues like this.
I can't really see Knackebrod getting themselves out of this one as well. I mean, they've already put themselves into quite a deficit here, and DiNG have set up quite well, cleverly as well. Like I said, they're always going to be able to have multiple angles to fire from as well, keeping Knackebrod busy and also making it so they didn't really know where they could go to find a weak spot on DiNG.
Exactly. I mean, they tried something with the cap, but the 2 E5s, I mean, that's a clear counter. And at the end of the day, I mean, there was just not enough damage from Tarantula to take care of that. So let's see what DiNG does. I mean, they've still got to close 6,000 HP off KB, and, you know, 5 tanks remaining. They can do a hell of a lot, but Crooks being a one-shot looks like the first target for them.
Stoic just popping his head over the top. Yeah, there's a bit of artillery work there as well. I don't actually think they're connected on Stoik. It does take a lot of damage though as well. Bratty off to the side is able to make him pay a little bit for that one. But this is Knackebrod now all brought together. They've all been sort of tied up in a nice little bow. And it's just a matter of DiNG just choosing at their leisure when to get those finishing shots in. It looks like they're not going to waste too much time. Pad goes down as well. He takes almost all of his health points in about half a second. Almighty Artur trying to back up. Tarantula, obviously his position not known by DiNG specifically. They could probably guess with a fair amount of accuracy where he will be. They'll go find him, they'll go try and take him out there as well. He's got 4 minutes to try and stay alive. It's essentially an impossible task.
Yeah, game over. Tarantula even missing that last shell, almost hitting his teammate, I think. But yeah, I think DiNG would have game sense to realize that Tarantula is up north. You can see the pings are coming out. And obviously Crooks pretty annoyed. We can't see the pings. I can see the pings coming out. Crooks is basically pinging cap number 1, so obviously maybe something went wrong there. Probably annoyed that Hellfish didn't manage to take down that E5. That could have changed things up. That could have gave control of the middle and given Tarantula a chance to take care of the second one.
All right, so Tarantula just goes, Tarantula, yeah, he just goes forward. He gets taken out there as well. So DiNG, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another tiebreaker tonight. These two teams very much back and forth stuff there. Impressive really from DiNG. I mean, it's so funny that they can seem so good in one round and so average in the next and then so good on that next round.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles with this format. I mean, looking through the damage, I mean, you can see clearly right at the bottom there is Tarantula with 37. When you're in that position, you have to be landing that damage. You have to be doing the damage. It's not massive distances he's shooting at. He should be landing those, and you know, it's one of the things about artillery. It might not be his fault. He might be actually clicking properly, but at the end of the day, just rolling the dice a little bit on that one, and it doesn't manage to connect anything. But if he had probably landed 3 or 4 shells, that E5 would have gone down a lot easier for Hellfish, and the second one would also probably be able to been taken care of from multiple sides, from Bratty and from Hellfish. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that went wrong. I think DiNG reacted very nicely with the E5s to go forward. So I mean, perfect tanks. You could see how much they bounced, how much damage they mitigated, and then it was just a logical thing of just getting control over the middle and pushing onto Crooks.
Stoik in the T1 10E5, he bounced 3.2k, and I think it was the other person was Shockish who bounced 1.7k. So that's a ridiculous amount of damage that they've just avoided because it's just bouncing harmlessly off them.
Yeah, it's a perfect tank for that position. I mean, at the end of the day, T1 10E5 not an easy sniper, quite long down aim down time, but yeah, perfect positioning, perfect play, and yeah, we're going to moving on to Cliff.
So Cliff obviously is our tiebreaker for tonight and tomorrow. So whether they played it already or whether they chose, well, they don't really get to choose it. Basically, it's just you get what you're given. So yeah. I mean, we haven't seen either of these two teams on Cliff tonight already through the games. Obviously, with Penta out of range, they'd already played it once, and Penta actually managed to get a win after losing both Cliff rounds earlier on in the piece here. So I don't know what your thoughts are here. Really, can you give any sort of insight into how you expect this one to play out? I mean, it's you know, KB, a team generally like favouring, as we said, those city sort of maps, but they've seemed to show some ability on open ones here. I mean, going 4-4 is a good indicator of both teams being equally proficient at those maps. Who's your pick? Well, this is the map Penta Sports started to mount a comeback against KB, I do believe. This is the one that Penta won both rounds on, so you know, looking at that, maybe you can look at that two ways. Maybe KB has fixed the issues, or maybe they're just not very good at Cliff, and maybe they underperformed. So I'm looking towards DiNG. Wasn't particularly impressed by DiNG in previous matches I've seen them on Cliff, so I have to see how that works out, see if they can actually perform. But, you know, Cliff is such a fast and dynamic map. Anything can happen. You know, middle play is probably going to happen. Which team gets the position, gets the shots off first? Well, I mean, we've even seen some teams go for something completely different as well. Penta sitting back off to a corner just to try and confuse out of range, or, you know, eventually later on in the round, we're seeing, you know, New Multi-Show get up to the top of that hill on a bat channel and just do so much work. You know, teams going for these gambits, going for these, you know, complicated plays or taking a risk as well. So it's good that we see quite a diverse little range of sort of strategies here from teams. I don't really think we've seen too many Cliff games that are played out all in the same way as one another here. Yep. But what I want to know is this going to end up like that first Prokhorovka game? Are these two teams just going to go, all right, let's go, like straight towards a fight over the middle of the map? I mean, it's a little bit unimaginative, but if we haven't seen Cliff picked here, I feel like neither of these two teams are really favouring that map at all. Yeah. So maybe we'll just see this unimaginative push forward in the middle of the map strategy, tactic. Maybe they don't have strategies. Maybe that's why they're not playing it much. Or maybe we'll see DiNG, who's on the defensive side, actually just decide to do what we saw in the previous round.
where Penta just was sitting back and hoping that the other team would go forwards and go into their trap. And if that happens, and KB, as you mentioned, a team that likes to go aggressive, likes to be going into these situations, does do that, where they've been winning, let's be honest here, that will spell the end for them, surely.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to this one. All tanks are ready, they're picked, and still plenty of E50Ms in the mix. And I mean, both these two teams now realise that they have definitely met their match. Knackebrod coming through, of course, the relegations, DiNG almost being there themselves. These two teams definitely, I mean, statistically, you could put them on a similar level, especially after seeing them play now. And obviously, this is the second time playing this week. We already saw them earlier on. So, good start by KB as well in that game. Quite a convincing result to them to obviously put so much damage down towards one of the teams that we already saw last season. And here is where DiNG really want to earn their stripes as well. Put down the uprising of these young upstarts and see if they can come away with it. But Cliff, it is, of course, symmetry is something that I get quite excited about.
It's quite a weird thing to get excited about, but whatever floats your boat.
But look at it, it's pretty.
It is pretty. It's probably one of my favorite maps to play. There's some maps which Wargaming released which is just pure genius. You're talking about Ensk, Mines, Cliff, Himmelsdorf. Those are all the maps which are really great, and there's a reason why they're in the Wargaming League. It's a bit of a shame we don't see Ensk because it's just too small, 600 by 600 meters. But anyway, I digress. E50Ms from KB, Object 140 STBs, Bat Chats, and from DiNG very much the same without the E50Ms, just more STBs.
I could go for Wide Park. Sacred Valley.
Wow, yeah, Wide Park is an old one. Yeah, but this is still, I think Wide Park is only played in Tier 1 to Tier 3. They might have even removed that.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. It's like province. Like province.
It was a WGL map anyway, but there's an engagement in the middle, and this is actually pretty aggressive by Bratty. He's actually pushing Diplomat off the hill.
So unsurprisingly there, they go for that less imaginative push towards the middle here, just back and forth. So this one, hard to call here. And Diplomat will move up towards the hill towards Bratty there. Those two Black Chats going head-to-head. And International also fancies getting involved in this one as well. I mean, that T49 can really hurt a Black Chat with that very, very little armor. Maximum 60 armor at the front on the turret, I think. But look at that one. International being caught by Crux as he actually went forward. He was looking for Bratty.
And Tarantula's found a perfect angle. He actually rotated away from the right side in that 251, and now that's going to cause one tank from DiNG or a couple of tanks from DiNG to turn their turrets away from the main force of KB and towards him.
I mean, this might be where KB want to push and want to go over now. They've got some heads of DiNG turned. They're winning the damage race so far as well. They're not by much, but it's definitely enough here as Crux is low. Diplomat now down towards a one-shot. He's got a whole clip to use as well. It sucks to be in that position as a Batchat because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. There are shots coming in from the top of the hill as well. There's an STB1 over there that takes Stoik quite low here. And DiNG are not looking too fresh here at all now as they want to push forward. They want to go for a bit of a Hail Mary here, but I really have doubts about whether it'll work.
Yeah, Bratty's going to come off reload, and it's good timing by DiNG to choose that one, but I'm not sure this is going to work, especially considering the damage from Arthur from the hill is pretty impressive.
It is indeed. I'll have to check that one later on in the game there. Rulzik down on one shot, so is Meritorious. At least Bratty can get on towards Rulzik now. But he's going to head down the hill, look for Shockish, gets tracked up on his way. He wants to finish Meritorious. He wants to get the gun out of the game. Holtnik's also a one shot as well. DiNG battered, bruised, and bleeding. They are going to bow out of this one here. And Knackebrod getting their second win here, of course, as a new team coming in. You've got to be impressed by that as well. And they've just dashed DiNG by the wayside in that last one. Nice work to them. Cliff seems to be fairly kind to the crispy tankers of Knackebrod.
Well, not against Penta Sports, they lost too, but I mean, that was probably a learning experience for them. The game was pretty close. So, and to be honest, Penta lost both their rounds today. So it's very dynamic how this works. But I think that suited the KB down to the core. At the beginning, they were losing the exchanges. Crux took like 800, 900 damage at the beginning. It was going backwards and forwards, but then Bratty was going on the hill. He was pushing Diplomat off, which is a fantastic move from him because that allowed Arthur to push up. Tarantula as well from the side, just being a pest to the side of DiNG. And DiNG probably should have used the tactic Penta Sports champion when they were sitting back with the 140s and hoping the other team pushed. Looking at the damage quickly though, 2.5k from Hellfish, 2.3k from Bratty, the guy on the hill, and 2 frags apiece. Holtnik and Rulzik with 2.5k and 2.3k as well on the side of DiNG. But in the end, it will be KB with the 2 points in the The Dings with the 1 point. Dings.
Das Dings.
Das Dings.
And of course, well, that's the second tiebreaker of the night here. I mean, I don't really know about the next one. I mean, we'll talk about that one when we get there. But Melly, of course, Twitch chat hanging in there with us every step of the way now. They've seen this tiebreaker go ahead. Anyone really surprised about this result?
Not really. I mean, even the votes were pretty balanced with 57% for Knackebrod at the end, and it seems like they were kind of calculating with a very close match because the entries from the vote were also very close, and we had a lot of people predicting that tiebreaker. It seems like those tiebreakers are in fashion these days.
Yep.
How many games ended up as a tiebreaker the past 3 days now?
3.
Yeah,
Only?
yeah, because we didn't have any yesterday, and there was 2 tiebreakers on our match day number 1 actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
So
And I think
Quite
we had in
hard.
total in season 1, 754. I think we had 11 in maybe like 6 to 10 in the
not too
66
much, to be
matches.
honest, yeah.
So
So
We're
we're
already
already
half that.
halfway, yeah.
Brilliant, guys.
So we're in, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles when you're playing 2 rounds per map, because, again, you can just move on to the map you like. You can just wash over your defeats and move on to your victories.
Makes it even more exciting to watch.
Exactly.
So people, the next vote is up. So head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get involved. The poll on Twitter will be online as well. So, well, voting on Facebook gives you the chance of winning bonus codes. If you're one of the 5 fastest people to predict the exact scoreline for the next match, which is Sergi versus Tornado,
Yeah.
you might win a bonus code. So we're giving out 5 of them, as already mentioned. If you don't have Facebook but want to share your opinion on those teams as well, head over to Twitter, use the hashtag WGLEU, and get involved in that voting as well.
All right, well, Haas, it's pretty simple. You heard it here first. We're going to go to a break before our last game, and when we return, it's going to be Tornado Rocks, looking very, very strong right now against a rather shaky Synergy. Don't miss it. We'll be back soon.